Hey guys, May is a very, very special time for me as well as many other content creators because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. The time where we try to discuss more mental health disabilities, mental health conditions, and just our overall mental health. And the number one way we can do that is to stay more informed, learn more about it, ask more questions, and most importantly, please open up. Many people may not understand mental disability. I say that as a person who suffers from one myself. And truth be told, if you believe that someone is dealing with mental problems or some sort of anger, anxiety, depression, or really anything, all you have to do is just go up to that person that you care about or you are really curious about and just show compassion and comfort and question. Something as simple as saying, "Are you all right? Are you okay? Or do you need to talk?" can really save someone's life. It doesn't cost anything, and all it takes is a little bit of your time. For more information, please look up mental health disabilities on your own time, or there's a few links in the description below. Enjoy the show. I'd like to play a little game with you all. I'm going to say a phrase from a popular song, and I want you at home to fill in the blanks. Music of the blank. You can't stop the blank. Blank is the word. Somewhere over the blank. Chances are most of you, if not all of you, answered at least one of these questions. And the reason that is because all of these songs come from some form of musical. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if just saying the word musical doesn't just immediately spring the idea of a movie or production in your head. And you're not alone in that aspect. Musicals have pretty much been a mainstay for as long as, well, most of us have been alive. And each of us have a connection to musicals. As we talked about in our very first episode about how documentaries connect us, so too do musicals. However, documentaries are more grounded in the reality, whereas musicals are more grounded in the fantastical. Today's question is a parallel to the first episode. Why are musicals so revered? Musicals can stem their origins back from a combination of two distinct styles of theater. You have the basic theater play, which is characters, dialogue, and building of epic stories. Then you have the same, however it's all music-based, from opera, where it's more over-the-top, bombastic, and more powerful, using the symphony as its tool rather than the expression of the actors. It is a blending of both in the proper sequence, and through the story structures you can have a very aesthetically pleasing and yet fantastical style of storytelling that can only be done in a musical format. Musicals in themselves are essentially the water of theater. And what I mean by that is a musical can be made out of practically anything. Does not mean it will be successful, however it does mean that it can be done. You can take a concept that is so interesting already and create it and twist it into a way that can be a broad appeal for an audience that it was designed for, but for a newer audience. Similar to the way that a comic book adaptation can be made into a theatrical film, or in the way that a video game can be made from a theatrical film. They are vastly different forms of media, however, the branch appeal to that same concept, it's still within reach of the fan base. And it also allows a newer fan base to form based off of that original concept. One of the best turns of an adaptation turned from a film into a play production is The Lion King. The Lion King originally stemmed from the play of Hamlet by William Shakespeare and Osamu Tezuka's Kimba the White Lion, but it was turned and adapted into an animated feature film for Western audiences, taking a European and Japanese tale, putting it together for Western audiences. However, when it was turned into the play version musical, it took back its African roots because the setting of the play was in Africa. By not just having the characters and the actors and the setting be in Africa, but in the play form, having them actually perform in certain languages of the African dialect and different song styles of the African people, it brings a more related culture share that the original did in the first place, bridging the gap and allowing other people to actually understand the story structure from a different perspective. The universal appeal of musicals doesn't just stem to Western audiences. It's known throughout Europe, and Bollywood itself is entirely based around musicals. But with musical productions, they each have their own different appeal. In Japan, they even have an entire female pact of actors who perform adaptations of established properties in a musical format live in full costume. But the music doesn't just make the play. It's also the fact that these characters can create a connection as a storytelling narrative as well. When you hear the ending song of You Can't Stop the Beat, it makes you want to get up and dance. When you hear Seasons of Love, it makes you think about things in your past and reflect on it. When you hear My Friends from Sweeney Todd, you can hear the pain in his voice and relate to it in that sense of isolation that everyone can universally feel. And in that same way, these songs and these plays have that universal draw that each of us can connect with. Listening to them simply once can resonate into your own head. And I know what a lot of you may be thinking. I don't like musicals. Well, to be honest, you're probably lying to yourself because, truth be told, not a single one of you listening today has never once not had a connection to a Disney film. A whole trope of musicals is that they're just basic stories, but the characters break out in this song and everyone just acts like this is normal. Pretty much Disney in a nutshell. When creating a musical, you have to take the original story structure that you had of creating characters, story, conflict, resolution, etc., and take that exact same thing, then add music, then add dance choreography, and then you have to add lighting and setting. It makes it a far more complicated task than it would have been just to write a story. And it's even worse when it's actually done in a theater because you have no editors. You have no cuts. It is live. If you mess up, the whole production falls apart. That's why so many people have a connection to Broadway theater or just theater troupes in general, because you know what they put out, which is the passion that they can really aspire to do. Of course, the most important part of any musical is creating meaningful and memorable music. I'm sure that there's a musical song from a Disney film or TV or theater or something that can just connect to you on a deeper level that you'll never truly be able to express through words. And the reason that is because musicals teach you that it's okay to be different, that it's okay to be not accepted. Musicals can be whatever it wants to be, just like film and just like pretty much every form of media. It's not what is on screen or what is presented, it's how it's presented. So much like our documentary question, musicals have a very resonating appeal to everyone, but on a different level. If documentaries hit us on the part of our brain that deals with mysteries and solving of problems and trying to figure out solutions, musicals hit us on the emotional level, on the memories, on the parts of our brains that we sorely neglect from time to time. The parts of our brains that we constantly have to fight with ourselves because we don't want to accept being happy or sad or okay with wrong things or able to make mistakes. Because the world does not operate through black and white, and it does not operate through right and wrong. It operates through shades of gray and multicolors and every other thing you can think of that can express yourself. And that's what makes musicals so appealing. They are the clay in which theater is allowed to stay alive for all of these years later. But I want to know what you think. Is there a musical that you personally have a connection to? Do you think musicals are revered? Always be prepared to expand the mind, my friends. Because ultimately, these are not answers, merely hypotheticals. Till we meet again.